This is Tarron with Twist and Mesquite Performance Horses. We're on a mission to create a world-class 2-year-old program that specializes in the rein cow horse. Today we're doing a video with Apache. This is his second week in our program. The big focus for this horse has been building his confidence as a whole as we go through our exercises, the things that we're working on. I'm wanting to put a lot of attention and focus on making sure that we spend time right here where he has rest with me. He's paying attention to me. He's right here with me. With him, just through different things and in his prior handling, prior to his owner now, he would get worried, worked up, would rip the lead rope out of the hands of the people handling him. He was just real reactive and just wanting to run around and take off. So a lot of the groundwork we're doing is important so that we can kind of retrain this horse. This horse thinks about, he's prior to us getting him, he's kind of hasn't really respected this lead rope, hadn't really respected the halter, would pretty much just take it and run off anytime that he felt he could or he wanted to. So a lot of this groundwork is almost like retraining him, re-halter breaking him through the whole process. But it's also gaining his confidence and building that trust with him. So last week we started him in the round pen. We went through and started our groundwork process. A lot of those exercises there are the basics of our groundwork that helps this horse understand he's supposed to give to this halter pressure rather than just run away from it. I like how he's a lot more relaxed right now. He's following me a lot more. I'm not dragging him around with this halter or this lead rope. He's coming along with me. I know from speaking to the owner, this horse had been saddled some. They tried to ride him, weren't successful. But once they had him saddled, he did pretty good. But it was everything getting him up to the point of saddling him that he is, dancing around, running around. I'm sure he's trying to run away from him, pull the lead rope out from his hands. All of that fun stuff that comes with the reactive horse. So I'd say we probably started working on saddling 3 days ago, and he's done pretty well. We want to just go through more of it today, making sure he'll stand for us to saddle him. Ideally, I want him to keep his feet still. I wanted this to be a habit for him before we ever get to the point of saddling him, where he's already thinking about keeping his feet still, relaxing, staying calm. He's still kind of jumpy at times, but he gets better with every work. I like that he's standing right here. He's still kind of jumpy on edge a little bit, but man, he's worlds better than he was prior. So I want to saddle him. I want it to be snug where he can't get it off if he were to go to bust around here, but I don't want it to be too tight. I don't want to cut him in half with it. I want it to be light. I want it to be snug. But I'm going to, I want to be able to move him around and then I'll tighten it up, move this saddle around here in a little while. So we've been reminding him. In our last video, or last week, we started working on this flexing. We've continued on with it. He gets pretty stiff, pretty worried when you go to catch him. So when I go catch him out of the stall, I catch him. I'm gonna come up there, rub all over him, and then flex him before, and then when I turn him loose, I'm gonna do the same thing. I want him to start thinking about every time he comes around me, it's time for him to get soft, to relax, to be a part of what we're doing here. When a horse lowers his head, he'll start relaxing. It's the opposite of horse having his head up, way up in the air, being worried, on edge, wondering what's about to happen. So the first few times I saddle a horse, I want to be cognizant that this horse may just decide to buck with a saddle. Yesterday he kind of kicked around a little bit, but I think it was more of just his mindset rather than the saddle itself. See, like right there, I asked him to lunge off, asked him to move his feet, and he just decided to walk off. That was a big improvement for him. With him being more of a reactive type horse, that has been his tendency, I would rather him keep his feet slow and just walk around here, just ease around here. That tells me he's thinking about what we've been trying to get through to him. And that is, when he's with me, he can relax, he can calm down. He doesn't have to be worried or concerned. All we're doing is simply asking him to move his feet, to do what we need him to do, and it doesn't have to be a high stress situation. I like that he's licking his lips right there. He's lowering his head. Tells me he's relaxing. With a little bit of that draw, I don't mind some of that draw. What do I mean by that? He stepped in towards me. He took a step towards me. He was realizing, he's thinking about when I let him relax when he's with me. So he took a step towards me for that reason. So I don't mind some of that. I can get him out of my space if I need to, and I can keep my personal self safe by being able to move him out anytime I need to. Now there's some times that if he gets his feet moving too quick, he may try to take that lead rope out of your hands. So we've got to do a lot of this groundwork where we get all of that tendency out of him, where he just stays soft on this lead rope and does what we ask him to do without getting worried, concerned, or hot. So I like how he's moving around here, moving around pretty relaxed. He's paying attention to me. That's good. So yesterday, started working on desensitizing with this flag. He didn't like it at first, so I don't want him to back away from me right here. Just come to me. There. See, he's got to realize that just because we have something maybe flapping around, making noise, coming around him, he doesn't have to be concerned about it. That's just gonna, there's no problems. And it's windy, this thing's blowing pretty good. I want to find a spot where he kind of relaxes a little bit, let him think about it. He's thinking about lowering his head right there. I want to stay in position right here. I don't want him to move away from me to where he thinks it's more comfortable. I want him to get comfortable with me right here, and I want him to get comfortable with this flag being right here. Put this flag up underneath him. You know, our stick and string, this flag is really good because you can go and touch this horse all these different places. I mean, look how touchy he is up underneath his belly. Imagine trying to be up underneath there, trying to trim his feet or something like that with him being not concerned about that space. And I'm not mad at him for it, for being kind of concerned about that. I mean, that's his blind spot. But we work through all of this stuff so that this horse knows he can trust us. I mean, how can we put ourselves in a spot to where we go trim this horse without all of these things being worked out, to where he's not concerned with this down here, this being down here. Oh, well, you know, now this is below his chin right here. This is underneath him. It's his blind spot right there. And he did pretty good with that. We need a lot of this with him, where we move his feet. He realizes he can go to work without getting worked up about it. And then we just sit here and just praise him. I mean, you can just think of this as like you're just petting him with this thing here. You're letting him know how good a horse he is. He's doing so good. You're just rubbing all over him. You're getting all the flies off of him. Whatever you want to think. But this is how we teach these horses how to relax when we're around them doing things. When we need to get some coggins pulled on this horse, or we need to trim his feet, or we need to have the dentist come out. I mean, all of these things, this horse needs to be comfortable with us being all the way around him, being up underneath him, being able to handle his feet. There, that was really good. I'm going to go and adjust the saddle here in a second. But we do a lot of this flexing. I need him, if he goes and licks his lips like that, look, he was anticipating it. That was good. Anticipating it right there. Thinking that's what I'm asking him next. And it's what I'm going to ask him next. He was trying to get ahead of me here. That's good. See, it shows he's a smart horse We've just got to get through that fear, that worry. That way he can think. That way he can process what we're asking him to do. I want to be cognizant, pulling this cinch up. You know, when you're saddling these young horses, it's important to, you know, like the first time I saddled him, I saddled it kind of snug, but then he let a bunch of air out, just working and moving around. And then I went and snugged it up again, moved it up, snugged it up again. So just like our desensitizing with our flag, I want to make some noise with these stirrups right here. I want him to be relaxed with his stirrup flapping around. This is symbolic of our legs right here. I mean, and this back cinch, you know, when we're sitting on him and he goes to moving around, this back cinch is going to tighten. We want to make sure that we can move that up. I want to make sure I can touch his butt back here, rub all the way around. This is where my leg is going to come over and reach around. So my leg is going to be all around right here, coming all over top of him. I want to reach around his back legs there, reach up under his belly, rub his belly there, and all of this stuff. I mean, I certainly wouldn't do this first day with him. You know, we built up to it, where he's starting to relax and understands that it's in his best interest just to sit here and be quiet. It's where he gets to rest and relax. I want to pick up lightly on this rein, and if he delays or he's not paying attention to it, I'm going to bump it until he does, and I'm going to give that slack back to him. I'm not cranking his head around here trying to force him. No, I want him to, as I pick up lightly, remind him, you know, add some urgency with just bumping on him, and he comes all the way around. It won't take very long before I'm able to pick up on that rein and he just comes all the way around. Especially on these sensitive type horses, it doesn't take much where they'll give their head and as much and as quick as you want it. They'll do it off of really light pressure. See, he kind of tenses up, still kind of throws his head up a little bit. That tells me we need to do a lot more of it. And some of this stuff, yeah, he's going to get more comfortable as we go along. But I need this horse relaxed before I go climb on him. I need him relaxed, calm. He's not worried about me. He's not concerned. We're just going to keep working on it as we go. So one of the other things we've worked on this week is being able to run this leader up down here, pick this foot up. I think he has had his feet done some, because they're not overgrown, but they've think they probably had to drug him to get him stand quiet for him. But I want to be able to just get around him, be able to pick up these feet with this lead rope. This is the first step. See right here, he thinks he needs to move around. I want him to stand still right here, not feel like he has to get away from me. So the same with this back foot. Just pick this foot up. As we go along, I'm going to reach down there. We get him a bit more relaxed, more confident with me being around him. then we'll get to where we're picking those back feet up and those front feet up, working on that quite a bit. That way we prepare him to have the farrier out. It's a good way to run a farrier off getting him kicked or stomped because you didn't prepare your horse very well. Farrier we've been using he's very good at what he does. Very patient with these young horses, and we'd like to keep him in good health. You know, some of this picking their feet up, they have to relax enough to pick that foot up. When they're tense and worked up, they want to keep those feet braced. They want to keep them tight. They want to be able to go somewhere and go take off, run off if they need to. But I like right there, he's just kind of following that leg right there, just coming along with us. This horse hadn't shown any desire to kick or anything like that. It's been more of he would just run off. So I'm not too concerned about it, but I've also done a lot of desensitizing. You know, and you can tell pretty quick when the horse has a tendency to kick when you start running that flag around his hind legs or up underneath him. You'll figure out pretty quick if that horse thinks about kicking right off the bat. Each horse is a little different. They have their own little things. This horse is his tendency is just to brace up and run off. We do a handful of different backup exercises, and it gets this horse to where we can get him up out of our space. And when you teach a horse to back up, there's a lot of respect that horse then starts giving you because you have backed him up. You've backed him up out of your space. And it's a handy thing to have. It also starts getting that horse thinking about backing up for when you are on his back. There's been he's already figured out that backing up is a way out of a bind that we put him in. As soon as he backs up, we just let him sit. This is really good on a horse that just thinks about running off. You know, as that horse, he's not thinking about backing up. He's not thinking about standing still. He's thinking about running off and going somewhere. So, seems like whenever you start doing the opposite of what a horse naturally wants to do, it starts helping balance that horse's behavior out. Ideally, we want to get to where we can just lean forward and walk to him and him back up just like that right there. It takes time. It takes building up on that. It takes repetition for that horse to understand that that's what we're asking him to do. But then once he gets good at it, you can back this horse up around everywhere. I mean, you can back him up around the arena. You can back him around trees. You can do all sorts of stuff. It just gives you another piece of groundwork. Another piece of groundwork that helps you control this horse on the ground. So now that I have that on him, I'm going to use it a lot more. Where if he comes up into my space without me asking him, I'm going to move him backwards. That's just going to help build that respect in this horse. He's going to respect us a lot more. One of the things we start doing to prepare this horse for us getting on him, along with slapping the stirrups and reaching up underneath him and all of that good stuff, we start jumping up and down around this horse. So I want him to, even if I had to jump up and grab a stirrup, he's not worried about it. But this starts getting him thinking about me being up over top of him. Next week it's going to be a good thing. I'll bring my gelding in here, and maybe even, or take this one outside into the big pen and pony this horse around. Just get him used to me being over top of him, being able to reach over top of him from that other horse. So he starts getting comfortable with me being around him. See, this horse isn't ready to get up on yet. He's putting up with us. He's starting to think about calming down. He's starting to think about changing his reaction over to, just thinking through things. He's starting to. But the last thing we want to do is go climb on this horse when he's not ready and just blow it all up. Because if you shatter this horse's confidence, you're gonna go back several steps. We want to keep building this horse's confidence, where he realizes we're not out here to get him. We're his friend here. This exercise here is good for this horse being in close proximity to us, where he has to be close up to us, have the stick coming up over here around his eyes. He's got our hand up over here, the stick is up over his back. This blends into what we're going to do is coming up this week is another leading exercise, but where we can send this horse right here when we're leading him all along around this arena, this pen, wherever. Especially for a horse that needs to be reminded about what a halter is and how to get off that pressure. This also just gets this horse used to us being right here, and he's not thinking about running off. If he gets a little too close to me, I can kind of get him to move off with this stick. Just kind of bounce it up and down a little bit there, get him up out of my space a little bit more. See, this is a big thing for him. So he would get worked up and worried at this quicker pace. He'd get worried about anything being around him. he'd be worried, if we first got him when we first got him, we were trying to do this with him right here. He'd be real concerned about us being this close to him, asking him to trot. He'd be real concerned with my hand and this stick being up over top of him. If he moves his feet, I want to bring him back to me a little bit right here. I want to find all those spots that make him jump so we can address them. We can work those out on the ground so we find less of them when we're riding on this horse. We're on top of his back. Let's find those spots. Let's work through them while we have him on the ground, while we're working through all this. That way we have a higher likelihood of success when we do to go to get on him. There's a lot to be said about this right here. Over the last year and a half of handling a lot of these colts, we taking a lot of these outside horses in. 100% of these colts have not bucked with me being on them. They might kind of kick up or have some, feel good or something like that, but when, full out go to bucking, trying to throw you off, we hadn't had any of these horses do that. And I attribute that to spending a lot of time on the ground, getting them comfortable, and then spending time doing things step by step when we're going to get on them and ride them. We just work on one thing at a time, build these horses' confidence. We don't try to put too much on these horses' plates than they can handle. We had one horse that she bucked with the saddle for a long time, but we got her relaxed. We got her past that. I think she probably had some kind of thing. She was kind of started before they got it. They brought her to us, and they said that they'd saddled her. That was about it. So I think they started having some trouble with that horse. That horse they probably rushed her, put too much time, or tried to rush that horse with that saddle. And so anyway, that horse would try to just throw and just kill that saddle. Try to just rip that saddle apart. And it took a long time to build her confidence, to get her comfortable and relaxed. But then even once we brought her through all that groundwork, she still never tried to buck with me. And so there was just some worry and some fear she had around that saddle that we had to work through before we got to where she could be comfortable with it. Another thing I want to do when I get done with this horse is let her sit tied. I believe it's pretty important It's one of those things we started doing with our culture recently. Started letting them sit tied, especially the ones, I'd say the ones that know how to. If we haven't got that far yet, of course, we're not going to try to make them stand tied if they don't know how to, or they don't know how to give to that pressure. But these horses that know how to stand tied, I believe it's important to let them just sit, let them be patient, let them think about what we just did, what we worked on, and let them realize that standing there tied by themselves is a reward. It's a relaxation where they can just sit there and relax. It lets them think and process through everything we worked on for that lesson. It seems to help these horses quite a bit, rather than just work them and then hurry up and put them back in their stall. Seems like they don't spend much time thinking about you or what y'all just worked on. They're ready to go back and see what their buddies are doing. This is a big thing, just making this noise, having this fly around this horse. I mean, imagine that's a rope right there, and you're wanting to go rope some cattle, or say this is some trees you're riding through the brush, you're riding down the trail, and you have these trees making noise up around you, swinging around you. We want this horse to stand relaxed. This horse goes and moves, backs up, tries to get a little more comfortable, I'm going to move with him. So like I said before, I want him comfortable with me sitting right here. As we get him a little better with this, we're going to get to where he'll stand still and let us slap the ground walking all the way around him. But right now, we're still just building his confidence, adding some speed to where he realizes, hey, I don't have to run off from this. I don't have to worry about this. We're just going to go. We're just kind of bringing this around him, letting him feel it, letting him know it's all right. A lot of this is what this horse needs. As I said, we want to balance out our work so that this horse does get groundwork. He does understand when we want him to work, we want him to do it now. But then it's his job to relax during that process. Relax and be calm through that. So right there, I think we're going to end it on that note. He's lowering his head, licking his lips, relaxing. He said, man, this hasn't been so bad. It's like, man, I can just stand right here. I can just relax. I don't have to be worried or scared or concerned. He can just sit right here, be calm, and just hang out with us. And that's what we want. So that'll be our update for Apache. This is the end of week 2 for him. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one.